Some good news for the Sixers following their bounce back win against the Indiana Pacers on Monday. Kelly Oubre finally starting to find his groove a little bit, returning from his knee injury, and Joel Embiid still making a huge impact for the Sixers this year. We'll take a look at some crazy numbers that show just how impactful he has been on his teammates so far this season. Before we get into that, watch parties are coming back right here on the show. Starting tonight, we'll be live for Sixers versus Suns. No Embiid in that one, but everybody else should be good to go. Suns have been really, really good as of late, so should be a fun one. That game tips off at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live right around 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Going to start doing at least one or two watch parties a week now, heading up until a potential playoff run for the Sixers. So if you want to, hang out, watch the game, I'll give you live play-by-play, and we get to interact during the game. Hit that sub button and turn on your notifications. That way, when we do go live, you will be notified. All right, without further ado, let's get into the topic of today's show, starting here with Kelly Oubre. Now, Oubre has played 7 games since he returned from his knee injury that he suffered way back in November 14th against the Detroit Pistons, I believe to be exact. Has missed really almost 2 months by the time he returned 7 games ago. And so when you come back from an injury like that, it's going to take some time to get settled. The minutes were a little bit limited from Nick Nurse for Oubre as he did come off that knee injury. But there were always some good signs there, even when he was struggling a little bit when he first came back with his effort level, his activity defensively. But really the first 5 games or so, the offense was a bit of a work in progress. Again, kind of to be expected, right? But these past couple of games, it finally looks like Kelly Oubre might be finding his groove just a little bit, which is huge news and great news for this 76ers team. Over his last 2 games, Kelly Oubre on Friday against the Cleveland Cavaliers, that second game against the Cavs, and then yesterday on Monday against the Indiana Pacers, finally starting to get that offense going a little bit and get back into the flow of the offense like he was early in the year before he went down with the injury, where he was really playing the best ball of his career, playing smart, playing decisive, not forcing things, but also being aggressive and attacking downhill. One of the things he's done more these past couple of games. Against Cleveland, played 26 minutes, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 4-7 from the field, hit a couple of threes, also had a steal as well. And then against the Pacers, I know it's against the Pacers, but look, they had won 4 of their last 6 games prior to last night. They were a feisty team at the very least. 18 points, 5 assists, 8 of 14 from the field, went 2 of 3 from 3. A couple of those shots from behind the arc were pretty big as well to help the Sixers take back some momentum, and 2 steals. And Nick Nurse talked about it, Tyrese Maxey talked about it, how important it is to get Oubre back, get him going, and not just have him out there, but have him being aggressive out there and being the player he was earlier in the season. What Oubre brings to this 76ers team is really valuable because he's a physical player. He's very disruptive on the defensive end of the floor, gets his hands in passing lanes. We saw that a lot last night where he had 2 steals, but he was also forcing more turnovers by being aggressive on the ball and being that point of attack defender that the Sixers really desperately need. Like, Paul George has been great defensively all year long, but he's a little bit slower. Obviously not the same athlete he once was. So Oubre kind of gives you that athleticism with, the 110% effort. He's always giving the energy. It's been much needed for the Sixers team. And I think one of the reasons why, at least prior to those 2 games against the Cavs, the Sixers had been playing better, especially in the month of January. So it's great to see Kelly Oubre returning. Now, the question that I've seen some Sixers fans asking that we will discuss here on the show is, does Oubre eventually get his starting spot back? Obviously, to begin the year, Paul George was hurt, so it was Kelly Oubre and Dominic Barlow starting games. Then Oubre got hurt, Paul George returned, and since Oubre's been back these last 7 games, it's been Paul George and Dominic Barlow starting on the wings. So is Oubre going to get his starting spot back? Not going to bench Paul George, but will he get that spot back over Dominic Barlow? Look, people are arguing about it. Have a take one way or the other. I do think Barlow should continue to start. I think what he gives you from a rebounding perspective and a size perspective is very important for this Sixers team to start games with Joel Embiid out there. But at the end of the day, I don't really think it matters all that much. Oubre is still going to play a ton of minutes. He's going to play a big role, and he's going to close games more likely than not. Nick Nurse has some options he can use depending on the matchup, depending on the personnel out there on the floor. You can certainly mix and match what wings you have out there depending on what you need at the moment, which is why it's so good to have all this depth right now. But whether Oubre starts or not, which again, I think you do keep Barlow in the starting lineup, let Oubre come off the bench with his energy, still going to make a big impact on this team, still going to make a big impact during games. So not that he doesn't deserve to start. He certainly is a deserving player to start, but I think things just fit a little bit better, and the Barlow and Embiid combination in the starting lineup has been so successful. I don't see why you mess it up with the way it's been going at this point. So me saying Oubre shouldn't start is not an indictment on him as a player at all. I love Oubre. I don't think Philadelphia should be looking to trade him at the deadline. I would like to keep him on the team, even though he is an expiring contract. Him and Barlow bring some different things, some similar as well. Either way, both are going to make a big impact on this Sixers team moving forward. Sound off with what you think, though, on this debate. Who should be starting at the other wing spot with Paul George? Should it be Oubre when fully healthy, type KO? Should it be Dominic Barlow, type DB? Now, coming up next, just talked about Kelly Oubre and him starting to find his legs a little bit, find his groove. We're going to go through some numbers on Joel Embiid. Obviously, been having a pretty good season, especially over the last month or so after a slower start to the year. But apart from just the numbers he's putting up, Joel Embiid is having a profound impact on his teammates, which he always has, really apart from last season. But it's even more pronounced and obvious this year what he's doing when his other teammates are on the floor and the type of looks they are getting up. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But first, got to tell you guys about the Sixers Classic crew neck that I actually have myself. If you're a real one and you watch almost every day here on the program, first of all, I appreciate you and thank you. But you probably know that I do rock this from time to time. I got this hardwood Classic crew neck with the old school Sixers script font in the center, the NBA Finals patch up there on the shoulder, a cream color with the red lining at the bottom and at the bottom of the arms as well. It's a dope item. Obviously, a lot of Sixers throwback gear has been released this season. These are limited edition. If you go to chatsports.com/76classic crew, got a lot of compliments wearing this, even from a lot of, non-Sixers fans here at the Chat Sports office. So chatsports.com/76classic crew take you to Fanatics, and you can pick up that item while supplies do last. All right. Let's get to these numbers here on Joel Embiid. Obviously, a lot of Sixers fans realize the impact that Embiid does make on his teammates just by being out there on the floor, even if he's not scoring. But these numbers really go to show you just how much of a difference it makes. Even if Embiid isn't playing well, the ability that he has and the gravity he has to create good looks for his teammates. So we're going to go through some players here and look at their three-point percentage when Embiid is on the floor and their three-point percentage when Embiid is off the floor. Starting with Tyrese Maxey, obviously having an All-NBA caliber season going to start in the All-Star game, and it was just announced that he's getting his own signature shoe with New Balance around the end of 2026. So congrats to Tyrese Maxey there. Show him some love down in the comments section. But when Embiid is on the floor, Tyrese Maxey is shooting 45% from three in 529 minutes with Embiid. Without Embiid, obviously, all these guys, it's going to be a larger sample size without Embiid because he has missed time. But that drops to 37.1%. Still a good number, but nowhere near the 45% that he is shooting when Embiid is out there on the floor. How about VJ Edgecombe? A similar story. With Embiid on the floor, VJ shooting almost 43% from behind the arc. Without him, it drops all the way to about 36%. So you look at those two starting guards for Philadelphia. They're hitting a lot more of their threes when the big fella is out there creating space, drawing double teams, and such. Quentin Grimes as well. Maybe not quite of a noticeable drop-off, but still a pretty big gap here. With Embiid on the floor, Quentin Grimes shooting nearly 40% from three. Without him, drops about 5 percentage points to 34.5%. And then this one is crazy here from Kelly Oubre. A much smaller sample size here because Embiid's been hurt, Oubre's been hurt, but still, this is nuts. When Embiid's on the floor with Kelly Oubre, Kelly's shooting 55% from three. Obviously, not a sustainable number, but it drops all the way to 27.9% without him. Just the presence that Embiid has. And, we know this, but I think we're seeing it this year as well, that even given the season he had last year, coming off all the injuries, he's far from a washed product, all right? I know a lot of people are out on Embiid, maybe slowly creeping back in given the season he's been having of late, but this is why him just being available and being out there for the Sixers is so important. And one of the reasons why when he is out there, they do have a shot, in my opinion, to make a run in the Eastern Conference, which looks super weak right now, right? Detroit's the 1 seed. I think they're 31-10 at the moment. They look pretty good, but are they a world beater? Absolutely not. After that, it's a pretty big drop-off. Celtics are the 2 seed right now, and they don't have Jason Tatum. They've been playing very well. Credit to the Boston Celtics, but not that same Celtics team come playoff time without Jason Tatum. Knicks are the 3rd seed. They've been playing awful basketball. I think they're 2-11 in their last 13 games, something along those lines. They have been really, really bad. There's rumors they want to trade Karl-Anthony Towns. Raptors are the 4 seed. I'm not scared of Toronto. And then Sixers are in there at the 5 seed, right? So if you have a player like Embiid out there, with the way Max has been playing, and the gravity Embiid draws, double teams he draws, the ability to pass out of those double teams, does turn the ball over a little bit too much, but that's kind of who he is at this point. Man, this Sixers team really does have a shot, and it's a large part because of the difference that Embiid makes just by being out there on the floor. And again, we mentioned his better play as of late. I don't think he'll ever be back to putting up those over 30-point per game numbers that he was in his prime, but in 9 games in January, maybe the most important number here is that Embiid is playing over 32 minutes a night, when earlier in the year, it felt like he couldn't play 15, 20 minutes without really laboring towards the end of games. The efficiency has been there. He's a +7 plus minus per game in these 9 games as well. Just goes to further show you the impact he's been making as of late on winning basketball games. I think defensively, he's been moving a lot better. Still, somewhat limited in that regard, and especially from a rim protection standpoint. Not the same defender he once was because he doesn't have the verticality that he once has, but I think moving his feet, he's been a lot better as well. So, again, that's why it's so important for Embiid to be out there. For those of you who are going to join me for the watch party here tonight against the Suns, I'll be interested to see how this plays out in real time, in live action, with no Embiid out there on the floor. What kind of looks are these guys getting from behind the arc? Are they getting clean looks, guys like Maxey and Edgecombe, catch and shoot looks? Are they having to take a lot more off the dribble looks? So, we'll kind of monitor that here as Embiid does not play. But the big fella having one hell of a season. I think not enough people are giving him credit for the bounce back he has had this year. Of course, don't forget to hit that sub button and join us for the watch party here tonight. And if you want more Sixers coverage every single day, you can give me a follow over on social media, on Instagram at 76ersNowIG, and at Twitter /X at Jake Chipper.